Welcome. Tonight's program will dive deep into fringe knowledge of lost, hidden, and suppressed truths about the nature of our reality. The decoding process can be uncomfortable and at times frightening. However, you are not alone on this journey of understanding. Welcome to the Shadow Band Podcast.
Nobody does it better, dude.
We got bangers, man.
I mean, nobody does it better.
You like that, dude, huh?
I mean, come on, man.
Every time I hear it, too, I'm over here, I'm like, ugh.
Nobody does it better, dude. God, dude, the two of us, unstoppable, bro.
Yeah, unstoppable duo. You know, speaking of that, man, I saw some comments and stuff that were made. I don't know if it was just people at the end of the year feeling generous or whatever it was, but people still listen to the show, bro, and people still hit me up. People still comment, and they're like, yo, man, I love this show. This is like one of my favorite shows. I don't know why we're your favorite, but I appreciate you.
Because nobody does it better, dude. Get me on Rogan right now, dude. Both of us. Let's go.
Yeah, man. You know, there's something about
We have nothing to contribute to that show.
I think there's something about this being so raw, like we have no idea what we're doing to the point to where it's like absolutely raw that people just like that, man.
Because you're just hanging out with the bros. When you're with us, you're with the bros. And the bros are talking. Bros are talking.
Yeah, locker room talk, you know, like the most production that we have here is like the cameras are pretty nice and you know, I put some paint on the wall.
Yeah.
That light's $20 from Walmart. Like that's it.
If you guys could see what's behind me right now, you go, dang, that's crazy. And what is behind me is a spooky library.
You're all in a spooky library.
The ancient mysteries are.
That's funny. So there's been a lot of weird stuff that's happened since we spoke 2 weeks ago.
You don't say.
Do you want to start or should I?
No, go ahead, dude. It's a buffet of weird stuff.
I want to ask the question I think most conspiracy-minded people have been asking for the last week, and it's what in the hell is up with this the Pope opening portals thing? What is that? Come on, you would know. You're the guy here.
Look, I don't know. I've never heard of this door that he opened until he opened it. I saw like some like, oh, Pope's going to open whatever door that is on Christmas or whatever. And I was like, what is this door? Why do they constantly have spooky, weird, freaky stuff just popping up? So he opened some door. They took out some like crate, some box, and like broke it open and opened it up. And there was like stuff wrapped inside of it. I was watching and I'm like, what and why?
Yeah, I don't know. I heard something or I saw something on the internet and it was like, yeah, this happens every whatever, however long it was, right? This happens. This isn't the first time. It's just a symbolic thing that they do. And I'm like, well, I've never heard of this before. Right now, I'm not super like well read in on, you know, Catholicism.
Me either.
So maybe I'm missing something. Am I missing something?
I've not heard of this.
Okay, well, she would know. She went to one of those schools. Okay, so this is fake news as far as I'm concerned. Okay, also, what I find funny and also interesting is that when he opened this portal that apparently hadn't been opened in whatever, there was 4K high definition cameras on the other side to catch his reaction when he opened the portals. So, you know, obviously what they were giving the public is just like a theater. It's just like a symbolic gesture of the event. So I really wonder, like, did he and some homeboys actually go into the dungeon where you're at right now and like open some portals, and then later they just come out and tell us, hey, here's like our like symbolic version of that, and we got like cameras inside the portal. It's like what?
dude. I mean, so according to the interwebs, it's opened every 25 years.
25 years.
Yeah, as a jubilee or something, a door. It opens the door of salvation for Catholics. It's only open during jubilee years, which, like in Judaism, that's every 7 years. So this is every 25, I guess. I don't know. I don't know all that.
What'd you say it was? A doorway to salvation?
The holy door. Yeah, it's the doorway to salvation.
Was that
It's like a
some,
big symbology thing.
What was that? What was that cult? The one with the
Heaven's
UFO?
Gate.
Heaven's Gate. Is that some Heaven's Gate? That sounds like some Heaven's Gate. I'm not gonna lie. It sounds like some Heaven's Gate.
Sounds like it. Sounds like it.
Every 25 years, bro, we're gonna open this portal, man. It's your key. It's your doorway to salvation. What does that mean?
I don't know, man. Here's what's weird, dude. The more freaky and symbology the stuff is, the more obviously conspiracy minded you can get with it. However, people just do weird stuff. You know?
Yeah, people do weird stuff.
So it's like, what are you gonna do? Maybe it's something crazy, but maybe not. Hey, I can't see half the chat.
Dude, the chat is not feeding for some reason over.
I only see.
There's like one message, two messages.
Yeah, I don't see the
this one.
whole chiggity chat.
Yeah, I don't know why it's not rolling through. I do see the chat rolling on my phone.
Yeah. Whatever.
Well, yeah, sorry tonight if I don't catch your messages. I was gonna pop them all up on screen, but what are you gonna do?
Speaking of cults, I learned about this Order of the Solar Temple. You ever heard of that?
What is that? Tell me about that.
So I was perusing the gram while I was not supposed to be perusing the gram. And I came across a documentary. I got to go find out what the actual documentary is. Maybe I can pull it up real quick. Ads on the Twitch, and I'm not getting paid for it.
It's racking up. There's a couple bucks in the old Twitch account.
No, I don't want people to know that, dude.
Oh, it's literally not. I think it's like $8. I think
don't
it's
want people
accumulated $8.
to know how poor we are.
What,
Let me see if I can find this real quick so I can plug said homie Slice that was doing this this thing. I probably didn't like it. I did. I don't know. It says the Paranormal Files on Instagram. I don't know if that's it looks like that's the guy that does the thing, but it could just be some guy reposting. It looks like some guy that reposts a lot of stuff. So I don't know exactly if it was theirs or not, but the Paranormal Files Colin Brown. Anyway, it's like human sacrifice castle. And I was like, well, I got to watch this. So apparently there's a giant castle in France. And the guy that lived at the palace was part of this cult. And right outside the castle, down a trail, there's like all these effigies of like man, ram, things with like the hands out and all that. And apparently right there, it's all human sacrifice, child sacrifice, blood drinking, all that stuff. Be young, all that good stuff. And so I started looking. I started getting a little Google happening, and it feels like back in the day when I used to Google stuff, bro. So, all right, I said, what is the French palace death cult? Right? There are multiple matches for cults in France, including the Order of the Solar Temple and the Cult of the Supreme Being. Now, here's where things get ridiculous. A secret society and religious movement that was involved in several mass murders and suicides in the 1990s was founded in Geneva, Switzerland, in 1984. Somebody look up when CERN was founded. And we'll see if they were close in date. And claimed to be the continuation of the Knights Templar. 1995, 16 bodies were found in the French Alps, believed to be members of the Order of the Solar Temple. But then the Cult of the Supreme Being also occupied the same area that was created by Maximilien Robespierre. and then was banned by Napoleon. Good guy.
CERN was started September 29th, 1954.
54. Okay. 30 years. Gematria.
Yeah, there's some gematria there for sure. This is what I love about conspiracy theories, by the way. I just want to derail you for a second. This is one of my favorite thing about being a conspiracy theorist is that I can literally point to anything and I can maybe not like convince you or make you believe, but I can make a strong argument that there's some spooky shit going on, and it can boil all the way down to I could just be like gematria, right? Like
course.
numerology, bro. Like
Yeah.
spell out the words, September 1954, and then boom, that's gonna spell Lucifer or some crazy shit. Guaranteed.
Yeah. Well, it is not. I mean, to me, I don't see too much of a coincidence between it being founded in Geneva, Switzerland, and then CERN is also in Geneva, Switzerland. They do the giant tunnel. They do the opening of the thing. You know what I mean?
What is it with Geneva? Like you got the Geneva Convention. Like, is Geneva just like? Is this the
something?
Is this the magnetic mountain at the North Pole? Like, what is this? Where?
I don't know, man. Where's
who lives there?
I'm trying to think. There's some area over there that's significant. Because I know, like, excuse me, a Mount Ararat, where like the Ark of Noah's Ark supposedly landed, is on Mount Ararat, which is like northern Turkey, I believe. But then there's a mountain, Mount Hernon or something like that. Let me look. Mount Hernon. There's a freaky mountain. I wonder where that's located. Mount Hernon.
Mountains are always freaky, man.
Herman. Mount Herman. Mount Herman. Where's that at? Asia.
Mount Herman, Asia. There's a lot of Asia. Asia's big.
Where's that at, dude? I mean, Asia's huge.
Oh.
No, I'm not that dumb.
Oh.
Border between Syria and Lebanon. Okay, not up there. I don't know, man. There's some freaky mountains. But I know there's like the Alps, and that's where CERN's doing their Hadron Collider thing, blasting neutrinos through the Alps. Like, something.
There's some weird stuff. There's definitely some cults that are hanging out in Geneva, I would say. And some of those cults probably have their tentacles in some institutions that run our world.
Yeah.
For sure.
But like, what piqued my curiosity when I was listening to this guy talk about like why they do the rituals, and it's like the blood is, it's the fear and the whatever, and then you get to drink the blood and whatever. It's got like whatever aminos in it that you can whatever. I don't know. So, are people living that long and being young that long? I mean, Jimmy Carter just died. 100. It's pretty old. But like, are people living that long?
I mean, I guess, and it's I don't know. I don't know anybody who lived that long.
Is it a farce? Like, oh, you're gonna be able to live so long, and then they're doing these human sacrifices, but it's really just like soul energy that they're like being harvested for, and then they really don't ever live that long?
Yeah, I'm not really sure. I mean, I'm not in the cults, so it's hard to say. But I would imagine that the people who are doing the rituals aren't getting the actual, let's say, benefits that they think that they're getting, right? Like anything else that if you play with spooky shit, like you're gonna get stuff that you're not expecting. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah,
So like
of course.
they might be doing these rituals, and this goes back. We talked about this. This goes back thousands of years. There's all types of archetypes of goddesses and queens and people of power that would either like bathe in the blood or consume or whatever the fuck it was for like fountain of youth type purposes or like power or whatever the case, magical powers. Okay. I feel like they do these things you would do this for that reason, but something else is going to happen, right? You're going to grow a fucking third arm or some shit. Like, I don't know what's going to happen to you, but something.
It's just odd that like after all this time, because like you'd think like ancient societies, they didn't understand how like the weather cycles work and how all that, kind of So they'd be like, "Oh, I'm gonna kill my kids and hopefully it rains because we're gonna starve to death if it doesn't." And it's like, okay, I get it. You don't understand how stuff works. Like it's terrible, and you should know it. That's not how it works. But at least there's some kind of like, well, they didn't know any better, perhaps. But like now, the '90s, the '80s, you're drinking blood, and like you got to know that that doesn't.
Maybe it does.
But that's what I'm saying. If it does, I should see some 130s out there, some 150s.
Well, maybe they. Well, yeah, I mean, how conspiratorial do you want to get, right? Like, is there? We could go Donald Marshall on everybody real quick. Donald Marshall, shout out to him. I don't know whatever happened to that guy. Some random schmuck that was uploading YouTube videos, and he's probably just a psychopath. But who knows how right he was or wrong? He would always say that they had the REM clones, right? His whole thing was REM clones, and that REM, REM sleep. So basically, they have clones of you, not you, because you're not powerful enough to have one. But if you were, they'd have clones of you, right? And then you could transfer those, your consciousness from your body to your clone because it's the same biology, right? It'll accept your consciousness. So they can use technology to have cause, like, let's say, an out of body experience, if you will, and then implant you into your clone. And so it's possible that some of these people, maybe that's the ticket. Maybe it's not everlasting life in your body, but it's like, hey man, once you get to like an age where like your body's just not functioning anymore, we just can't keep you doing the thing anymore, right? Jimmy Carter, like you'll be done, and then we'll just transfer your consciousness over to your REM clone that exists in paradise in one of our massive underground cities that we've built in the last 100 years.
Yeah, or you can, I mean, if that doesn't exist, then like you could just keep moving, same person, different host.
That was one of the things too about the REM clone idea was that you could also use that as like a blackmail situation, right? Like imagine this, you're going to play ball. You don't want to play ball? Fine. Every time you go to sleep, we'll pull your consciousness, we'll upload you into your REM clone in a fucking gladiator match against, I don't know, Brock Lesnar to the death.
Jeez,
And you will die.
Christ.
And you will die in the stadium in front of all the other rich, powerful schmucks who have transferred their consciousness here for, a temporary vacation. And then they'll just watch you die at the hands of Brock Lesnar in a battle axe. And then you'll wake up the next morning like, all right, terrible dream. The whole thing sucks. And then you have to go to sleep again tonight. And who knows? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
so it's like, yeah, it's a big honeypot type situation. I'm not saying that that's the case. I'm saying like how deep you want to go. If these people are crazy enough to like drink the blood or do the cannibalism for some ritual or for some power or whatever it is that they think they're doing, I mean, maybe that's what they're being sold on is like, hey man, well, you could play the game.
Wild, dude. There's like more implications in that. Like, if they can make a clone of you and transfer your conscious, you've got alibis now. Like, I walked into my house and I didn't leave, and you can see that. Meanwhile, your consciousness just got wormholed over to the island with where your REM clone is.
Yep.
Wow.
They don't have to do the big meetings like they used to, where they used to come together, right? Like they still do the Bohemian Grove, right? But I think now it's more of like it's almost like, what's the word? Like they're mocking us, right? Because they know that we know that they do Bohemian Grove. So they just keep doing it. But the one that they're doing now is like this fake version where they're like burning these sticks, this effigy of a child at the bottom of the statue of Moloch. And it's like, yeah, that's what we told you we're doing. But what we're really doing is, we're all showing up at this REM clone island and we're doing whatever crazy shit. All those 300,000 missing kids, like, I don't know where those went. Maybe they went to some of these islands, right? So
that's spooky stuff, man. I don't. That's one of my least favorite conspiracies to get into. It's just like the evil of people and just like thinking of a child being in that kind of fear, and then like, I don't know, it's just so terrible. Like, kill them, all those people.
Yeah, altered
Yeah,
carbon.
dude,
That's a good show.
surrogates. Yes. Like psychic surrogates.
Psychic surrogates. Look at this. Jeff already gave his consent to be cloned when he made those AI clips. You know, here's the thing about that. I actually, unfortunately, sent my DNA to one of those DNA fucking places, right? So they've got that. I've got a bad habit of succumbing to the things that I know are probably like the tools that the parasites use, right? Like I've harped so hard on like AirPods, Bluetooth earbuds before, right? You
Yeah.
remember that?
Oh
Because I
yeah.
was like, bro, it's literally microwaving your fucking brain, literally,
Yeah.
right? We've sat here and read the shit. So,
Yep.
but I have them and I use them every single day at work because it's so convenient.
You convinced me to stop using them.
All right, I convince you, but I'm used. See, like, there's a thing for this. You were a psych major of some kind, weren't you? Right? Like, isn't there a thing where you like tell some like convinced him to stop using wireless earbuds because it's nuking his brain, but now I'm using them.
Yes.
What is that?
I don't know what it's called, but yes.
Hypocrisy.
Besides that, that's the obvious. But there's like
Yeah.
another.
That's
another
funny.
thing. There's a deeper thing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I get it, but I mean, like, also that's kind of innocuous. It's like we were pretty against and we didn't go get that, right?
No, I definitely did not get that.
You better not have.
I did not do that.
I don't want you to die of a freaking blood clot randomly, dude.
No, I don't succumb to everything. I'm not getting the Neuralink, but I might get a Tesla robot. I might get an Elon robot. If I had the money, like I don't have the money, don't get me wrong, I am poor, but like if I just somehow had the extra 30 grand that I could just spend on an Elon robot, I'd probably buy one. It seems sick. It seems sick, even though it would probably strangle me one day. Like I'd just wake up with it on top of me and it just.
I mean, just imagine the data gathering that thing can get. I mean, like people were hacking Roombas and being able to like whatever company made Roomba has like 3D scans of your entire house all over the country, all over the world. Everybody, huge houses, small house, whatever. It's just got maps. All that data is getting sent over to, I think, China. And they just have maps of everybody's house and just building these neural networks and understanding all. It's nuts. But then you get an Elon robot, dude, the data that thing's got to gather it's got to be insane. You're muted. Oh. You're muted.
How sick would it be to
There
have
you
one
go.
of those cars that doesn't have a fucking steering wheel in it? Like you just get in it and it takes you where you're going. And then when you get to where you're going, you send it to go make you some more money, some Uber money, some Tesla Elon Uber money while you work. And then it picks you up and then it takes you home, right? And then while you're home chilling, it goes make some more Tesla Elon Uber money. And then you're making double the money, triple the money.
I could have the Elon robot just sitting there live streaming, trading meme coin and just rug pulling homies. He's on the stream and he's making me, all the I can't say half the meme coins on here.
with the AI integrated like stock tracker, so it's like buying and selling like every
Perfect timing.
couple of seconds. Yeah, perfect timing.
Yeah,
man.
that'd be pretty
On
nuts.
stream.
I mean, be nice. It'd be pretty nice.
It would be
But it's like we're getting an iRobot, and that movie was like so advanced and like no one. That's so crazy advanced. Like the Will Smith iRobot, the cars when they're like in the tunnels and they're going so fast that you can't even like manually steer them. And like there's no traffic lights or anything because everything's just like perfectly timed. And you've got like the rich robots, and the poor people robots and all that stuff. And it's just like, whoa, dude. And you got the anti-robots. It's like, get that thing out of here. It's like, bro.
I think we're gonna get to that point. See, I'm kind of like in this weird middle ground where it's you want to resist the progress, right? Like when I was talking to Andy from DeepShare, he made a good point. He's like the real enemy of humanity, I guess, is progress, right? It seems great in the moment, right? We have all this cool shit that we get to play with, but like if you really look at it from a macro perspective, like progress is the thing that will ultimately annihilate humanity, right? Like we built nukes, right? If you believe nukes exist, but like we built nukes, and eventually somebody will use them, right? We've built like megaviruses, if you believe in those exist, but eventually those will wipe everybody out. You know what I mean? So it's like
It's progress at all costs.
progress at all costs, including everything. So
Yeah, it's all free because humans also have this tendency to idealize everything, where it's like Neuralink's going to be great because people that have disabilities are going to be able to like undo some of their disabilities and create those neural pathways again. That's awesome. There's a million other awful things that people are going to do with Neuralink.
right,
You know what I mean? I just like,
yeah,
you got AirDrop, and you could just AirDrop people anything, and they open it up, and they're like, "Whoa, I didn't want that on my phone." Imagine what you can do with Neuralink, where you could just be like, just sending like snuff films to everybody in their head, and they're just sitting there like eating ramen or whatever, and it's just like, oh, like some guy get blown away, dude. Like,
yeah.
It's crazy.
But then it's like I think we're lucky enough that I don't know if we're gonna be around when it's like super crazy like that. Like we're kind of all of us will have to die off before they can install the next layer of technology. I think, if that makes sense, right? Like we live in this layer of technology, the internet, screens, possibly holograms we'll see in our lifetime, like mass produced, things like that. But it's all like, it's not that crazy, right? We've been watching this shit in movies for 20 years. So like, I'm ready for a hologram. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Wireless energy, like that's something that we might see, this kind of thing. But like when you talk about like the robots being everywhere, doing everything, like everybody neural linked in, just like telepathically communicating and airdropping thoughts to each other, and like just being fully nutted out all the time because you're just jacked into the matrix. Like we're not going to see that, right? Like we'll all have to have been gone before they can install the next layer.
Bro, think about this. You and I will be well and alive 2050. We'll be like maybe in our 60s in 2050. What's another? Yeah, 25 years. Yeah, we'll be in our 50s. And the amount of progress between 2010 and 2024, 25 is more than was probably ever. I think we got our foot on the freaking gas like all the way, and it's crazy, especially with the quantum computing.
Yeah.
That I think is going to change the game, dude. That's bugging me out because that also just popped up. And what did they name it?
Willow. We just talked about
I
that
like
last
that
night.
name.
We talked about that on Infinite Rabbit Hole last night, and I'll say the same thing to you I said to them, right? Because I know that the articles all dropped the other day that was like, Willow did this thing. What was the numbers? It did a computational test that would have taken a supercomputer
Like 10 septillion.
10 septillion years or something. It took it like 5 minutes to do, right? And then so there's like all these articles that are coming out like, oh, it's the end of fucking encryption. It's the end of like, computing. It's the end of Bitcoin. It's the end of all these. No, it's not, because Google would never release a quantum chip to anybody that was capable of cracking encryption as a whole, because our entire system runs off of encrypted information, right? So as soon as you develop a chip or different computing, whatever you want to call it, that does crack encryption, just like on a mass scale, you're done. The earth is done. Everything's done. So it's like, they're not going to release that. That's not going to be a thing. It's just bullshit. It's fear mongering. It's propaganda. I think they're just trying to hype up like the technology sector or something. Like they're just trying to get people to dump money into quantum stocks, because quantum stocks have been booming for the last fucking, couple months. So, let's drop an article saying that quantum computing is doing something, that it's peering into parallel universes, and like, oh my God, this is like the next frontier. It's like, shut up, dude.
Yeah, they're going to get a lot of government funding. They're going to get a lot of that stuff, because it's the same with like climate change. They're going to cause another catastrophe, and like encryption is now the new, if you're not encrypted, you're not green or whatever. And Greta's going to be like, how dare you not use encryption? And it's going to be like, you robbed me of my childhood and all my pictures around on the internet and all that stuff. How dare you? And then it's going to be like the next big boom of like government intervention and lobbying and all that, just a huge money pit into quantum stuff. But like you mentioned, the parallel universe thing. I don't know, dude. Mark Andreessen's real smart, but his explanation of how like there's a proof of parallel universes because of this quantum computer thing, I don't know. It seemed a little
Well,
contrived.
I will say that, we've talked about it, right? And I said this last night. CERN, the guy from CERN came out and said, we're using quantum computing, we're peering into parallel universes and bringing back data, right? And that's basically what Willow is doing. It's essentially the same, or that's what they're claiming it's doing. Now we're just like 10 years later and they're like putting it out more publicly than some schmuck from CERN. So it's like, it's not new information, but what is also interesting is like today, Jeremy is in the chat and he's like telling everybody like, hey man, it's foggy. And I'm like, what are you talking about? It's Florida. It's nice. And he's like, no. Like the whole world is foggy today. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And he's like, yeah, apparently like social media is blowing up. Like everywhere is foggy. I'm like, okay. Did you hear this? You're shaking your head.
Well, it is everywhere.
Everywhere's foggy. Not here. It's Florida. But
I mean, it was overcast yesterday a little bit.
No, every day my drive to work is like super foggy.
super foggy. It's the mist, bro. They opened the portals, man. The Pope opened the portal. They've been peering into parallel dimensions with quantum computers and particle accelerators. They've been doing fucking nanoparticulates in the sky with stratospheric aerosol injections. They're blasting us with the 5G millimeter wave technologies. That's probably also tearing open dimensions. And now we have the fog.
Wasn't there like creatures in the fog?
Drones.
I never seen that. The movie,
You never seen The Mist?
The Mist. Now
Is that what it's called?
There is a
There's a movie. I think it's The Mist or it's The Fog. It's one of these movies. But yes, like they're in a town, and I think it's in like New Hampshire. It's like a fishing village or whatever, fishing town. And then like the fog or whatever rolls over the town, right? And in the fog is like demons, like monsters, right? And they're like eating everybody and like snatching people up. And it's like it's a movie. But
I mean,
if
spooky,
you
though.
think about that, like in the sense of like, hey man, maybe they're opening some portals and some weird shit's coming through, and before you know it, there's gonna like something might happen, and
dude, look, the amount of spooky out there is too much. Like, I saw a video today of one of those like orb-looking drones, and some guy with a Samsung Galaxy like S23 is like zooming in on it, and it zooms in, and then all of a sudden it's like this like amorphous kind of like geometry folding thing with like a center little like eye point in it. It's like, what the heck is that? What the heck is that? Is that real? Or is something act like are we mixing? Are they like, was it false flagging these? That's not the word. That's not the term. But like, what's it called when like they plant the fake thing to like divert you?
yeah, well, I mean, that would be a false flag, I guess.
I guess technically it's a false flag, but like they're gonna put drones out there, and here's a bunch of drone videos, and here's a bunch of people doing it because there really is some spooky stuff floating up there, morphing and changing and looking at things. And now people have good enough cameras, and these things are out in the daytime, and they're not just around the coast anymore. It's like, what the heck is that, dude?
I don't know, man. I think a lot of those videos though are just like the cameras. Your phone is not designed to zoom in on a light in the sky, and when you do, it looks like a weird like gelatin or liquid
Yeah,
orb that's morphing. And
this one was in the daytime.
daytime, nighttime,
Yeah,
whatever.
I was just like, whoa, dude.
The phones aren't good for that, man. So I think that's like the biggest problem. Everybody has a phone right now, right? Which is on one hand a good thing, right? Because everybody can film everything and we have all this extra shit that we can look at. But on the other hand, it's like people are filming everything, right? People are filming shit and like, filming a light in the sky and it looks liquid and it looks like some weird orb. And it's like, no, dude, that's just what your phone like makes sense of this weird light. You zoomed in 100 times. It's fucking with it.
Yeah, it definitely could be that. It's just very odd. It's very strange, And especially like, I think before we took our little break, we were talking about the Euphrates, I believe, river is like drying up, and apparently there's like a couple of maybe 3 angels, according to the Bible, that are bound at the Euphrates, and it's like really drying up, and there's caves that they're finding toward like the head of the river. It's like, dog,
See
we're
this.
about to have the best time. Let's not make it the craziest time, dude.
This is like something that's always fun to think about too, is, how right are some of the old ancient prophecies, right? Like how literal and how true are they, right? Like it would be super interesting. Obviously it would suck, but it'd be super interesting if like, a whole country stood up out of the water because it was actually like a sleeping titan, right? Or something like that. And we were like, what? What is happening right now? And it's like, oh, they weren't just writing some like philosophical nonsense as no. They were literally talking about like titans the size of countries like walking through it, you know what I mean? Like this type of thing. Or
Yeah,
like
dude.
the kraken like coming from the deep, and like, no, this thing is actually like 30 miles long. It's just been like sleeping in a giant cave under the crust, you know.
It could have been like earthquakes could have trapped it. You know, all the plate tectonics and stuff moving. It could be giant holes in the earth that we don't know about. Like, we've talked about this before. It's like, I'm no geologist, but for people that haven't drilled through the crust of the earth yet to be telling me what the mantle and the core and the inner core are, it's like, hey, I don't know, dude. We haven't drilled through the crust. You're telling me that is solid and then liquid? I don't know, man.
Yeah.
There could be some gigantic craters in the earth, huge under the ocean, sealed up. Like you drill down and then just burst, boom, huge chasms inside the earth. Who knows, man? What's been buried under there, held under there? I mean, it could be. I mean, there's something to, I think, a hollow earth in the concept of like the earth's not this solid,
Like
no
honeycomb
giant
earth.
holes in it. Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe a honeycomb, but just like,
Just massive caves,
I
massive.
don't know,
Yeah, for sure. No, I'm with that. When I think hollow earth, that's what I think. I don't necessarily think like,
inverted.
no. I mean, sure, it's possible, I guess, but yeah, I'm thinking more like it's just cavernous, massive caverns. I mean, they're discovering them all the time. They just discovered like a massive cavern that's whatever, it's like the size of New York City or something, and it could also fit all the skyscrapers in it. Like that's how tall it is. It has its own
Oh my
ecosystem.
God.
Yeah, it's got like rivers and like trees and forests, and like the discovering animals and shit that they didn't even know existed down there. Yeah, this is something that, yeah, this happens. This is happening right now.
Holy moly, dude.
Yeah.
You're telling me Godzilla ain't down there?
Well, apparently not in that one, because I guess they figured it out. It takes like a week or two to like hike from one end of this cave system to the other. And in some of these, like, yeah, in some of these areas, it's like these huge vaulted ceilings. Like I said, a skyscraper can fit inside. It's, so tall. And then like they see sunlight coming through because like up there is the jungle floor or whatever. I don't remember where this is, like Chile or
It's got to be something
Peru
like
or
that,
someplace.
dude.
One of these places. And
Whoa.
yeah, so that's happening, but that's just what's on the surface, right? Like the earth is huge, man. Like there's so much inside that there's room for massive caverns where shit could be living, massive beings, giants, fucking monsters, like you said, Godzilla.
Who knows, dude? It's like,
So when you talk about the Euphrates drying up and the 3 angels being tied to the Euphrates, and like, now they're finding these caves and like there's weird shit happening. Like I wonder how much of this stuff, like there's truth to it, right? Like what was really under the Euphrates in those caves that was like locked down, sealed, tied to whatever the words are that they're using, and what's happening now that it's drying up and opening up.
yeah, what does that mean? It's just like one of the things that like is talked about a little bit is the ability to cross where these rivers are, where you normally just wouldn't be able to cross. And so that's a marker of like the time that you're in. It's like these rivers will dry up. Specific rivers are going to dry up. And it's just like, we're about to hit 2025. The boys back in the office, back in the Oval. could be just an absolute kick in time. But there's also freaking aliens or drones or something flying everywhere. And we got like quantum computing peering into parallel universes, perhaps. I mean, can we just have a good, can it just be the 80s? Can it just be cool? Can it be like rock and roll and
Dude, the
skateboards?
80s, the 80s is probably so dope to be like in your 30s in, man. Because yeah, dude, you had nothing really else going on, man. You went to work, you paid your taxes, you went home, you listened to the boom box, maybe some AC/DC or something, Metallica, right? You drove around in your fucking cool muscle car. You know, you skateboarded around. Everything seemed so much simpler. Now we got all this crazy shit, you know, but that's the progress that I was telling you about, right? Like the progress is ultimately the thing that's destroying humanity.
Yeah.
And
We're in
do
a
we
sweet
believe in
spot.
plate tectonics? Good question. I don't believe in anything, right? I'll quote Crow 777, right? Belief is the enemy of knowing. I don't know if plate tectonics are real, so I don't believe it.
I mean, I don't know all the implications of plate tectonics. Let's say that. I know that like there's continental shift and drift. That's
Sure, right?
measurable.
You know, and that's the
I do think
same.
it was one continent at one point and it's all shifted around. So whatever you call that, if that's not plate tectonics, I believe that. I don't know how else earthquakes and volcanoes and stuff happen.
I'm sure that there's shifting and to some extent. I would say that the thing that they're lying to us about plate tectonics is that it's actually the force that's creating crude oil, right? It's creating this oil. I don't think oil that we drill out of the ground is from like extinct biologics, right? I don't think it's just dinosaurs and trees and grass and microbials that have just decayed in this soup of oil that we suck up and it's running out. I think that's the lie. The
Yeah.
scarcity is the lie. I think the truth is if there is plate tectonics of some fashion or drift or continental drift, whatever you want to call it, I think that that force, that grinding force on a planetary scale, if planets are real, there's so many ifs in this. This is the whole thing, man. We have to trust so many fucking things. That
Assuming planets are real.
grinding, yeah, that grinding effect might actually be the thing that's creating the oil, and it's just an unlimited supply. There's no limit. We're not running out, man. The earth is just pumping it out, dude. It's a secretion.
I've never heard of that. I love that. That makes a lot of sense because then you go, okay, how do you start shaking and baking on the earth? You drop a lot of bombs. You drop nukes in the ocean. You bombard Arizona with them. You start trying to get the shake happening so you can go drill for oil. You know what I mean? Could
Maybe,
be.
or they just know that there is not a finite supply. Like that might be the secret, right? Big oil might just be holding that in the vault, right? You go in the vault of big oil, right? Speaking metaphorically here, and it's probably just like a safe. You go in the safe, and it's just like one piece of paper, one sticky note, and on that sticky note is just
A couple
one sentence.
boogers in one
One
sentence.
one sentence just says oil is infinite. Like,
You like read it, you're like,
what?
yeah, I mean, the dinosaur, I just, come on. The dinosaur bones turning into oil in the grass and come on.
Nah,
That's
not buying
just
it.
the dumbest, to me, that's just the dumbest thing ever. It's like, oh, the compression, turns whatever, and breaks it down and turns it into carbon. And then even more compression as things decay, then turn it into diamonds. Okay, I can get behind that. But when does diamonds turn into oil? Like if things are breaking down and either carbon's leaving or what, I saw this video of this paleontology guy and he was like, dinosaurs are fake or they're not nearly as old as everybody's telling you they are. He's like, one, they're never found where they're supposed to be found. Never found where they're supposed to be found. And two, if they're as old as they should be, carbon 14 or whatever only sticks around in a non-biological life or like non-living thing surface for like 1400 years. maybe, or
Carbon
14,000
dating
years.
is fake.
Yeah,
The-
he's like,
yeah, carbon
there
dating.
should be 0 carbon-14 left in it. I was like, I knew it this whole time, dude. I never believed that crap.
Well, dude, there's like cave paintings that depict dinosaurs, right, with humans.
They have footprints in the riverbeds.
There's footprints in the riverbeds that they've done the analysis on, and they can prove that, like, you know, they were layered in such a way that the humans were there first, then the dinosaur, then another human on top of that, right? Like, so yeah, the carbon dating is bullshit. Carbon dating is fake. So I don't really necessarily believe this is, again, going back to the question, right? No, I don't believe any of this stuff, dude. I don't believe anything, man. Maybe that's the problem.
My dad has a interesting theory. I don't know if it's unique to him or not, but he's the only one I've ever heard talk about it. But he has a theory that there wasn't that many dinosaurs. The actual number's pretty low, relatively speaking. But in the time of like the Nephilim and all that, when they were doing weird stuff with humans, they were also doing it with animals and creating like super predators. And then going and like just exterminating whole groups of people with these super predators. And I was like, whoa.
could be.
I mean,
That
that's
could be.
if you can do demon human, you could probably do demon chicken and turn it into a raptor.
Yeah, you know, and look, this is a good question, man. This is the question that all the hippies have asked forever, and they found the answer to this. What can we know? The answer is love, my friend. That's the only thing you can know. Everything else is just an illusion, right? That's where you get the oneness and the one consciousness. And you know, this is where religions spur from. It's all of this. It's like the deep fucking answer to the deep question. What can we know? That's it. Everything else is just speculation,
That's pretty beautiful.
right? You like that?
It's pretty beautiful. I just want to like drift into nothingness.
Happy New Year, man. Yeah, dude.
Yeah, that's nice. But yeah, you can't know
It's
a lot,
true, though.
especially about
It's true,
history.
though. Yeah. I mean, history's fake.
History is
fake.
just
Carbon dating's fake.
whoever documented it the best. It's like you just got to go with that.
Space is fake and gay.
I think so. Well, to a certain extent.
Monetary
To a certain
system's
extent.
fake.
Monetary system's real fake, dude.
See,
I've been
this is
getting
the thing.
everybody at work to get on board with the hey, either quit printing or stop taxing. I'm getting a big movement going.
The thing is that we're screwed. The debt is too high. There's no way to pay off the debt, and they're either going to have to like just write off all the countries that in the world. I don't know how anybody would ever do that. It's not possible, or there's going to be a collapse. Right now, some people argue that we're already in the collapse. The collapse is happening right now. It's not something that happens like overnight. It just takes a while. Some people say like 2008 was the start of the collapse. You know, some people say the collapse will happen overnight. It's just a matter of when. You could wake up tomorrow and the dollar's worth nothing. I don't know what the answer is, but I do think that there is a finite amount of time before the system does collapse because of the debt factor and like just the whole thing, right? Like all of the, somebody said this, all of the pretty much wealth, all of the assets that are owned in the United States at least are owned by old people, right? Like all the old people borrowed so much money and bought so many assets that they're holding now that, you know, it's causing like this massive strain on the economy and all this other stuff. Plus you talk about like the immigration situation and all this. Dude, the system is about to collapse. So the question is, does it crash and burn and we all just ride it out and whoever makes it to the end survives and repopulates? Or does the system crash and they replace it with something immediately in order to keep us from going back to the Stone Age? And that's where your like CBDC comes in, right? Your central bank digital currencies.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a bait and switch. You know, they're like, oh, and I think they're going to let you feel it a little bit. They got to let you feel it because the next system is not going to be, it ain't going to be great.
You think they get that number down, that population number down like they've always wanted to? They take it down 20-30% just to.
I think no. I think that's unpopular amongst the elites. You know, it's like the people could just overrun you to a certain extent. Like, you need the worker bees. If you don't get the worker bees on, you got no work. But then they got the robots. So maybe you're right, dude. We got robots, we got Neuralink, we don't need you.
Look at this. I think the switch has begun. 100K for 1 Bitcoin. Laugh my ass off. That's the more.
Dude,
I'm telling you, man.
that's
I'm
crazy.
I'm saying, bro. Is it crazy though? Because like the more I think about it, right? Like, first of all, I'm mad at myself, like every other person, for not buying it 12 years ago.
Dude,
When it was
my
like
parents were gonna gift me some for Christmas.
You fucked up. You should have been.
They were
"Yes,
like,
please."
we're not gonna do Christmas presents this year. We're gonna gift you each like 2-3 Bitcoins. And I was like, the heck is that? And they're like, don't worry. And then before they bought the Bitcoins, and then they're like, you know what? Bitcoin ain't it. It's Litecoin. So then they transferred it all to Litecoin, and then they transferred it to Ethereum, and then they transferred it to some other thing that went under. And then all of a sudden, not only did I not get a Christmas present, I also all that money's gone, and no one's got $100,000 worth of Bitcoin.
I mean, listen, from the way I'm understanding what's happening is like you have two options with Bitcoin. It's going to zero or it's going up, right? Like it's not going to go to zero because too many like institutional investors have invested. BlackRock is buying Bitcoin right now. So what does that tell you, right? We talk about BlackRock all the time on this show. And if they're dumping billions of dollars into it, something's up right there. So it's like, okay, it's not going to zero. So then the question is, how high does it go? Well, some of the top people are saying $1 million a coin, $10 million a coin, $13 million a coin in 20 years from now.
What do you do with that?
Well, that's the other problem, right? That's the counter argument.
What's the
to Bitcoin.
utility?
That's the counter argument to the Bitcoin, right? Is there's not really utility to it. The blockchain has utility, right? Which is, you know, they're kind of one and the same almost, but it's like when people want to sell the coins or the Bitcoin, there has to be somebody that's willing to buy it for the price that you want to sell it at. So if it gets up to $13 million a coin, who's going to be willing to pay that price for Bitcoin? I mean, I guess somebody probably, right?
Yeah, but
Right?
no,
I mean,
because what are you gonna do? You can't. What are you gonna buy
wait.
something with 1/64,000th of a Bitcoin?
But that's what they said when Bitcoin was $1. They were like, what are you going to do with this? You can't do anything with this. And now look at it. It's $100,000 a Bitcoin.
Yeah.
So
But that's different though. Like one
Why?
Bitcoin being like $20, be like, okay, I have a $20 bill here. I can't have a $13 million bill. Like, what are you
No,
supposed to do with that?
Well, you transact with fractions. of it.
Fractional. Okay, like
Yeah,
that's
of course.
that sounds insane. Hey,
Yeah, it does.
what's the bill today? Oh, it's 1/43,000th of a Bitcoin. Oh, thanks. Here you go. Like, that's crazy, dude.
Yeah, no, it's Satoshis. You just break it down into Satoshis. I don't know the exact math on it, but it's like X number of Satoshis are in a Bitcoin. So it's
Oh, interesting. So Bitcoin would be like the dollar, and these other things are like the cents.
sure if you want to think about it that way. Right. But the question is, like I said, right? Like if you would have asked me like 4 or 5 years ago about Bitcoin, I was like super like, I don't know, bro. Like I've heard about it. Sure. Like people are making money on it. I wish I bought it 10 years ago, of course. But now it's to that point, I feel like, where it's like that hurdle's been kind of crossed, where it's like, you know, when COVID happened, it went down to almost nothing. It went down to like $5,000.
Yeah.
Down to like $5,000 during COVID. While we were doing this podcast, bro, it was $5,000.
If I had $5,000, dude, to have one Bitcoin right now.
You could have just taken out a loan $5,000 and bought one then, and then waited 5 years. You know what I mean? Like you'd have been good. But the point is like it's not going to go to zero, so it's gonna go up. It's got to go up.
Yo, what's the ceiling on it though? You know what I mean?
I don't
It's
know.
like gold's
There's
not
no-
even. Platinum is not.
There's only 21 million Bitcoin in existence. That's all there'll ever be. You can't print more of it. That's the whole point. That's the selling point. Number one, you can't print more of it, so you can't inflate it, right? So there is a set number, and that is supply and demand will create a price for it. One. Number two is the what, like the security of it, the trust factor of it, right? Like if I sell you Bitcoin, you have the Bitcoin. There's no middleman. I don't have to go through a bank. I don't have to go through a Federal Reserve. I don't have to go through taxes or anything. I can literally just create Bitcoin right now. And you own the Bitcoin. And you're the custodian of the Bitcoin. Not the bank. The bank's not holding your money to say you're holding. You understand? So there's like security and trust factor there. So those two things alone, I feel like it's not going to zero.
So they can't inflate the. They can't
They
deflate.
debase it. They can't debase it because they can't print more of it.
So they can't make it less valuable
Correct.
by flooding the market with it.
First of all, there's no they, right? That's the whole
It's
point of the blockchain.
decentralized.
It's decentralized, right? You, by owning a 0.00001 Bitcoin, you are now part of the network, right? Like you are, in essence, like holding the key to a piece of the network that's like keeping everything in check. The checks and balances are on the blockchain. Nobody can cheat. Nobody can steal. Everything is kosher.
So what would happen theoretically? And we're spitballing here. What would theoretically happen if, and chat, contribute, if BlackRock bought 60% of the Bitcoin? Like now they have most of the Bitcoin. And they go, you can't have my Bitcoin.
Well, they can't do that because, well, I mean, I guess technically they probably could, but they won't ever be able to because 60% of Bitcoin holders will never sell it.
Huh.
You know what I'm saying? Like there has to be somebody to buy it in order for you to sell it.
Yeah, but that's
So-
what I'm saying. Like the only person you could probably sell once it gets to a certain price is a BlackRock, is an entity. No one's
Sure.
walking around with 13 mil or 100,000. Most people aren't walking around with 100,000 and just be like,
Some
I'll take your
companies-
Bitcoin off of you.
Some companies are doing this, right? Like MicroStrategies. That's what this guy does. Michael Saylor. He literally just buys up Bitcoin and his company's stock is traded basically on the value of the amount of Bitcoin that he has. And he fucking took a loan out of like, I don't know, $3 billion loan, bought Bitcoin at like 40K. And now look at him, right? And then he raised another, like, I don't remember the number, $15 billion for his company in like 6 weeks. So it's
Who's
like people
giving this
do-
guy loans to buy up the Bitcoin? He's going to dry up the supply.
No, he's not. He's driving up the price.
It's so complicated, dude. Because that's it. You could just price everybody out of being able to buy it and then just keep it fractional and then no one can really afford anything. You get an insignificant amount of it. I guess maybe, but it's like at the same time, it's like the more valuable it gets, the fraction that you have is just as valuable. You just get a smaller fraction. Whoa, dude. The elites have to be so pissed that it's decentralized that they can't mess with it.
The best explanation that I heard of it was that if you put your cash in a savings account, maybe you're earning like 1% or 2% or whatever on the interest of that cash, okay, over the year. But the inflation is happening at like what, 6 or 7%. So your $100 that you put in your savings account a year from now will have less buying power. So it'll really be worth, I don't know, $93. Okay? It'll still be $100. It'll still be worth $100, but the buying power of that $100 will be $93. And if you
Yeah.
keep it in there for another year, it'll be whatever 7% is off of that, okay? Whereas if you look at like the trajectory since the birth of Bitcoin, it's been up 60% per year on average. So if you would have put your money, or even today, put your money into that rather than a savings account, right? Yes, it's volatile and it might go down and you may lose all of your money, but if you track it over a long period of time, not a short bet, but a long bet here, then you're looking at 60% on average a year.
Yeah, because you got to
Way
hold.
more money. Way more money. You just got to hold it.
You got to hold it. Are you still holding any?
I just bought some
Bought some what? You Doge?
Bitcoin.
You bought Bitcoin?
Yeah.
Nice. Because you were holding, weren't you holding GameStop and Doge for a while?
I had GameStop a few years ago. I have some Shiba Inu coins. I had some
Yeah.
Pepe coins. I got scammed on the Trump meme coin. That was a fucking scam. I got what else do I Bonk? I got some Bonk coins. I got some Crypto All Stars coins. I'm actually staking those right now on Crypto All Stars. Hopefully those turn into like $1 trillion. That would be sick. I got some shit.
Dude, the level that people are getting into with all the digital coin thing, it's like this is turning into what were those things? NFTs again?
The NFTs were a layer on top of all this. This stuff was already here.
Well, yeah, I'm just saying, like now there's another now you got meme coins that are like N-word butt, and it's like dude, who's buying that? And like how are people making hundreds of thousands of dollars on like skibbity toilet?
Yeah,
You
we got
know?
somebody else. Who is this? I know this name in the chat. I just don't remember who that is. What's up? Howdy.
Howdy, Texas. Go Longhorns.
Wow.
Is anybody watching from another country? Because our podcast is pretty. Actually, that's Spotify.
Yeah, Spotify.
We're
will
big in New
pop
Zealand.
off.
Dude, we should take a New Zealand tour, dude.
We should.
We'd be
Uganda
like,
for sure.
"Yeah, there he is. There's our man. It's Jeff Fernandez."
We were talking. I was laughing about this last night. We were #1 in news in Uganda at one point. That means we were the news in Uganda at one point. People were getting their information about the news from you and me and Jade. And
Because we
crazy
do,
people
because we
that-
give it the way it is. I'm not holding no punches, dude. This person is from California. Ew, the more Cali also. Ew, sorry guys, that sucks, man. The founder of Bitcoin name translates to Intelligence Central. What?
Yeah, Satoshi Nakamoto. If you like break that down, I don't remember the details on this. It means like the center of intelligence or this central intelligence agency or something like that. Like it's, which is interesting to think about. You know, the New World Order, the deep state, the lizard people, parasite class. They have always wanted us to have a digital currency because that's the only way that they can control and keep track and blah 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 blah. So, and then you think about what Bitcoin is or any of these other coins, you think about what the blockchain is. It's a ledger that you cannot cheat, right? So everything is, every transaction is there and accounted for and checked and triple checked and can't change it. So that is the thing that the CIA would love, right? I'm not even gonna say the CIA, the deep state would love for everybody to have and transact in Bitcoin and Bitcoin only, because everything would be documented. If you spent money on ammo, they would know for sure. They'd have a ledger of it, right? Whereas now you could take cash, you know, there's ways around, you could do that. And I'm not saying ammo is a bad thing. I'm just, in some places it is, right? It's a red flag. So,
Yeah.
but it is
Now,
interesting.
only if they could blockchain like downloads on your computer so they can stop hitting dudes with fake CP.
Well, they can. They could blockchain anything. There's companies now that are using
need to.
blockchain for all kinds of shit.
Dan Bilzerian needs some freaking look out, dude. He's gonna catch some allegations in a minute. Have you seen him going around talking about the you know what cost?
Yeah. Yep.
This guy is asking to get friggin' somebody coming out the woodwork, and that dude's probably got loads of people in the woodwork.
Probably.
Come on,
would
dude.
imagine.
This is what's crazy. I get it. And I kind of admire, I'm not saying admire, I understand the journey, the arc, right? You got dudes that are like on top of the world, money, women, this partying, fancy cars, everything. And it's like, it's all meaningless. It's all vanity. This is exactly what King Solomon in the Bible, so what he talked about. He's like, it's all pointless. It means nothing. And then goes on to write like the Proverbs. And it's just like wisdom and insight and knowledge and how to, and let's help you navigate life better. And then these guys go and do it, except it's not the time. And that sucks because unfortunately, some people, I'm not saying Bilzerian or Tate or any of those people are like this, but it is a thing that happens where it's like Russell Brand, same deal. It's like you start to be like, oh, this is all pointless. And what's really important is like love and knowledge and helping and truth and trying to get to some level of truth, even if it's subjective. If enough people can agree on it, then perhaps there's something there, like trying to get to something. And then here comes the allegations. It's like, it's not the day and age for that, man. Like you could have done that back in the day because nobody knew who you were. You wrote a book and nobody knew who it was. They're just like, oh, some cool guy in this country did some things. But now, you cooked.
Yeah, everything's going to be tracked. I mean, this is the whole plan. It's just complete tracking of everything down to the molecules that you consume. I think it'll be like that crazy at some point. But for sure, like all your transactions via some digital currency. Maybe Bitcoin's not like created by the CIA. That could be a joke, right? The more like it could be a slap in the face to the CIA. Like maybe whoever this, because I don't think Nakamoto was a person. I think it was a group of people, probably a group of billionaires that created Bitcoin. And I think that I hope that those group of billionaires were like white hats, right? And they created Bitcoin in like a fuck you to the CIA and to the deep state. Like, hey, we're going to create this like decentralized thing that is a digital currency that you guys want. Like, we're going to create the thing that you guys want to create, but we're going to do it first, and we're going to do it decentralized and like open source it to the people. Right? I think that hopefully is what happened with that type of thing. So who knows though?
Dude, it's like everything is like this. Whoever created fire, they're like, ooh, we created fire. And now you don't have to like, we figured out how to do this thing. And then you get like napalm guns. And it's like, hey, dude, you get people getting thrown in furnaces. It's like this thing was supposed to be a utility for everybody to stay warm and cook food. And you're spraying it on people in caves because you don't like them. And it's like, yeah, people go and they put all their brain power into making this decentralized blockchain, hyper encrypted, unbreakable, unforgeable thing. And then it's going to be like, oh, cool. We're going to use it on you. It's like, dang, why are humans so crafty at that stuff?
Control, man. It's just control. I think power and control. Same with the money or anything. It's the control aspect of it. You think about Bill Gates ID 2020, right? Where he wanted to give every person a digital identification. And then you think about like what the Bilderbergs and the World Economic Forums have been talking about with the Great Reset, like CBDC, central bank digital currencies, and like tracking everything for the sake of climate change and global health and like all these things that are floating around for the last 5 or 10 years. It's like this. I'm gonna go back to what we were talking about at the beginning of the show. Of this, right, where it's, on one hand, technology and all this is fun, bro. It's cool, it makes life enjoyable. But at some point, we're gonna have to like that bridge, right? Where it's like, do we keep going or do we like turn around back to like have a farm and just doing that?
Yeah, that's where I want to get back to. I just want to be like, I want to tap in, do the podcast, but I'd rather do it in person. And then I want to unplug. I want to get out of the matrix. I want to go in real life. I want to cook on my grill or over a fire and walk in the grass barefoot and look at the sky and that kind of stuff. I don't want to be like in my phone day trading meme coins and like that's just to have just to get super hyper devalued dollars. I want that. I don't want that.
Isn't that the whole thing, man? That's fucking crazy, man. It's like you do all these things to get the thing that is just being devalued every day.
Yeah. It's like,
Plus
what's the point, dude?
To make the money that is just worthless. It's 99% worth less than it was 100 years ago.
Yeah.
Literally.
Like Jade's grandfather saved up money It's like, I'll pay for your college. Don't worry. I got you. You don't ever have to worry about it. I got it in my savings. Don't worry. We got it. And so it was all through their childhood, whatever. They grew up ready to go to college. Mom's like, you know, it's time for them to go to college. You know, you had said that you had their stuff saved up, you know. So are you able to still do that? And they're like, of course. Got it in the bag.
10%
Here's
of the.
Here's $3,000.
Yeah.
It's like, this won't cover books.
Yeah, like what is
They were like,
that's what it cost back in my day.
they're like, how the heck? And they were like UCF alumni. He's like, how the heck is it like 60 grand to go to the same school I worked a part-time job to go to? It cost me $2,000 to get a bachelor's in science. You're talking 8,000% increase. Yep. You save that money and it's worthless. You might as well have just spent it on a Carnival cruise and had some memories.
Yep. That's the thing, man. So, you know what? Like do your thing. All I'm saying is like I don't know if I'm gonna just ride it to zero because we're already at 99% down on the dollar. I don't know if I want to ride it to zero over the next couple of years because I honestly think the next couple of years are going to be like make or break it, right? World War
Yeah.
III is either going to happen or not going to happen in the next couple of years, right? They're going to assassinate Trump or not in the next couple of years. There's just a long list of things that is 50-50. We're flipping some coins to see how this goes. And I don't know if I want to ride the dollar down to zero and be, you know, like in Venezuela or wherever, where they were fucking bringing wheelbarrows full of cash to buy a loaf of bread. Your 30 grand that you had in the bank was buying you like a loaf of bread.
Yeah.
You know, they ate the pets because they had no other option. Like, I'm not trying to do that. So, you know, if I have to fucking gamble a little bit on some fucking Pepe coins, then, you know, at least I can say I tried. I didn't just ride the fucking dollar down to zero.
At this point, you got to see the writing on the wall. You got to go, hey, you can't beat them. Might as well join them. Or you go, you know what? Screw it, dude. I'm gonna move. I'm gonna get a camper. I'm gonna get on the outskirts of Bill Gates's farmland, and I'm gonna steal food from him. I'm gonna sneak into his 400 million acres he's got, and I'm gonna eat his farm food, all sprayed with chemicals and synthemeat and all that stuff. And that's what I'm gonna do. I'm not being part of the system.
Hell yeah, brother.
All right.
Well, are you coming on the show tomorrow night?
Let's do it, man. What time?
They like to do it a little later. I'm thinking it'd probably be like 9.
Yeah. Sure. You do it. I don't have to like prepare a doc or anything, do I?
No, it's just going to be a New Year's special
Okay.
Shadow Band IRH, you know, chill fest.
Sick, dude. I'm down.
I'll let you know. I'll find out the exact time. I'll keep you posted.
Yeah, and then I'll probably go watch some like fireworks after. Something.
Cool.
You know?
Yeah, man.
Okay.
All right, guys.
See ya. Bye-bye, everybody.
Adios. How do I turn this damn thing off? Stop.